What's up, guys? Welcome to the 4th episode of the Drum Break, where we talk about everything in, on, and about the percussion world. I'm Mike.
I'm Spencer.
So, yeah, what do we got going on today?
What we got going on today is the episode where we talk about probably the most well-known percussion instrument, probably the most, well-loved, coolest.
The one that started it all.
The one that started it all. I'm not sure it started it all, but it definitely started
it.
That is the drum set. And both of us have experience playing the drum set and being as much nerds about, drum set as any other kinds of percussion, even maybe more so. And yeah, we're just gonna talk about some of our experiences playing this wonderful collection of instruments, I guess.
Yeah.
Instrument, but more than one instruments. But yeah, before we get into that.
Yeah. So you can find us at a couple places. We are on Apple Podcast. We are also on a place called Podbean. And then for those that love the videos and want to watch the video, we are up on YouTube. We have multiple social media accounts, and multiple, I mean two.
Multiple.
Yeah. We have an Instagram.
Still working on MySpace.
LinkedIn. We're going to get our LinkedIn. That's for like finding jobs, right?
Yeah. It's like okay. Business, professionals.
Our job is going to find job.
Yeah.
But we're on Instagram. We are also on Facebook. And our email is thedrumbreakpodcast@gmail.com. And all of the things you are looking for us in, it will be the Drum Break Podcast.
Yes.
Like I said, email, Facebook, Instagram, all of the sites will be the Drum Break Podcast. So, yeah, man. I mean, please comment on things. Please like them. Like we want to get feedback. Like even if you don't like it,
yeah.
Like give us some sort of like feedback. Like in our last episode, we had shout outs. So we want to keep doing that.
Oh yeah.
So like I'll look at the podcast before we go on and like we'll do shout outs. So like leave a comment and we'll shout you out. Like if you don't want to
even
put
if
your
you
full
say
name,
something, these guys are terrible.
Yep.
So boring.
We will shout you out.
Yeah.
Because we love all of the criticism. But yeah, so that's that.
Yeah. I think we should start off with maybe talking a little bit about what we have covered in like the first episode. But for any new viewers and maybe just review for people, what sort of got each of us into playing drum set specifically.
Yeah.
Sort of our beginning journey with the instrument, and how we've grown as drummers.
Yeah.
So if do you want to start that
sure.
off?
Yeah. So ooh man, I bought my first drum set like when I was like in 8th grade or whatever, and loved playing it. Like I bought everything. Like my parents were like they like didn't buy me anything at the time, like because they thought like I was just gonna like be a phase or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think it cost me like $500 for like the whole the whole kit. Yeah. No, which is not bad. All used gear, except for my cymbals. My cymbals were the only thing that I bought new. So yeah, I just had like a standard, and the standard setup is like a standard 5-piece with 2 rack toms, floor tom, kick, snare. I had 13-inch hi-hats from Meinl. They're Meinl HCS.
Nice.
And then I had I think it was a 14-inch crash, and then 8-inch splash or a 10-inch splash.
Nice.
One of the two. I can't
I
remember.
didn't even get a splash until like
Oh, it was
a few years ago.
Yeah, well, it was because it came in those packs.
Yeah. Okay. It was
You
like
know,
an extra like
yeah.
free thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, oh, the hi-hat and crash, and then you get a free splash or whatever. But yeah, so I used my crash like as my ride when I found out.
Well, you have to. It's your
needed
biggest
rides.
symbol, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was like my first drum set. I didn't have a throne, so I sat on like a folding chair for most of my drumming first year or whatever, or first couple months. But yeah, so I started taking lessons at Guitar Center because it was like, that's where I bought my kit. They offered lessons, like that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Which was in the one in Highland Park. I took lessons from them for a while, actually, for almost like 2 years. I took lessons with them, and then I found, like a year and a half, I should say. But yeah, so, and I think my drum set was groove percussion.
Groove percussion.
Which is like not even like a real drum set. Yeah, it was bad. Like, you know, and this is when everybody gets their first drum set. Like, the toms are like super angled and they're like pointing at you.
Yeah.
You know, so you can play them better.
You have better.
Yeah, you have the better
leverage.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
And then, you know, the snare was like super cranked towards me too. And I think the floor tom was just like normal, just like flat, which is so weird.
At this point, you know, beginner drummers, you're like, oh, that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to change that.
No. Well, you know, and I didn't have the throne. So I didn't have like a height.
Any like.
Yeah, like I couldn't sit
way
higher.
to
Exactly. So I had to sit like whatever low the folding chair was, or like ottoman, I think it was actually, like that's what my toms were angled at, and that's where my everything sat. It was so funny, dude. But yeah, so like that was like my like first like drum set. Do you want to say your first thing, and then we'll go into like what we evolved into?
Yeah.
For sure.
So my first drum set was a used drum set that I got for free from my church.
Nice.
I don't even know if I should call it a drum set. It was drums.
Wood,
there was
plastic skins.
There was
them?
a set of them. I don't even remember what brand. I still have them in pieces.
Awesome. That's awesome.
But they were like from my church. I guess they had used them for like a while, and then they got a new electric kit and just sort of didn't have any use for them. So they were getting rid of them, and I was like doing like concert band percussion in like elementary school, and my parents and I were like, oh, this is like a cool drum thing that we can get for free, and you can start playing. So I think similar to you, I didn't have a throne. There were no cymbals that came with the drum set, by the way. Okay. It was just snare, tom, rack tom, floor tom, and then bass drum with like a crusty 15-year-old pillow that had been in there, one of those.
That's nasty.
I don't still have the pillow. That got.
You don't like sleep with it every night?
No, actually, no.
Cuddles with it?
Yeah.
My first drum pillow.
And so actually taking that pillow out, while it was disgusting and probably a good thing, there was no muffling now in like this 24-inch kick.
Nice.
And it was so boomy, and of course I didn't know how to tune anything yet. But yeah, similar to you, I didn't have a throne, so I would sit on like this bench that my parents had got when they were tearing down the old library, and they were like auctioning off stuff. So we got one of their like sort of library benches that was in the kids section.
Yeah.
And I would sit on that with my drum set and no cymbals. I had like nothing, no context to know that I needed cymbals. So I just, did random stuff. But then when I got to middle school, I saw the jazz band and the jazz band's drummer. And I was like, this is really cool. I want to do this, but that guy has cymbals. I should get some cymbals probably if I want to join the jazz band. That's probably important.
Right.
So my family and I were like looking. We went to a few garage sales, estate sales,
Yeah.
just to try and see if anyone had cymbals that like good, cheap, used cymbals that we could use, that I could use to get started playing some jazz. And we found a guy that was selling a full kit with cymbals at an estate sale, and I only needed the cymbals, so we tried to buy only the cymbals, but the guy was like, no, it has to be sold as a whole piece.
Yeah.
And my dad bargained it down. It was a Pearl export. I think we actually found out recently, like mid 2000s, early 2000s,
Oh,
like
really?
2000 to 2003, somewhere around that, with the serial number. Yeah. So it was like a cherry red early 2000s Pearl export with like B8 hi-hat and like a crash ride. B8s, yeah. Of course.
Gotta love those. They're copper, right? Gotta love those copper cymbals.
Or bronze, I think, because B8.
Oh, bronze.
Yeah.
I know they had copper in them, though,
yeah,
too.
or zinc or something. Yeah. But yeah, my dad was able to bargain the guy down to $250 for the drum set, the cymbals, all the hardware. I finally got a throne.
Jesus.
And so that was my, I guess, first real drum set.
Yeah.
And so I just started like playing that all the time, and that sort of became what started up my passion.
Interesting.
So that's our first sort of experiences with this weird instrument that we play.
Right.
But yeah, if we want to get into sort of what became of us after our first steps,
for sure. So like, man, when I first got into like drumming and stuff, I've like the first like things, I think, to me, everyone starts playing as like a drummer, and it might have been different from you from what it sounds like, but like it was like rock and roll, like Guns N' Roses, like AC/DC,
Led Zeppelin,
like the like classic rock, that everyone, just you could just jam out to.
Or the like Phil Collins, do 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 in the air tonight.
Yeah. And that's kind of like where I started. I started with rock, and like I said, I think like a lot of people kind of start there, because it's the thing that's, you're like, a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of parents, because that's not really good. I'm trying to think like your most, man, what's the friggin' word?
For
like, when someone like exposes you to things, that's it. Like, that's what
your first impression.
Yeah, like you're exposed to. That's, like rock music is kind of always like what you're first exposed to. At least for me, and a lot of the drummers that I know,
it's sort of the most intuitive for beginners to sort of jump right into.
Yeah,
because other genres, there are, not to say that rock isn't like a valid genre that you can be like masterful and have expertise in, but as far as like a barrier of entry, it's pretty low compared to other genres, so it makes it a good starting off point for beginners.
Yeah, because you have the easy like 2/4 boom bap that's just like
the first drum beat that anyone learns
is usually
boomed,
that
cut, boomed, cut.
So yeah. But like, funny thing, like, so when I first got like my drum set and started playing like at Guitar Center, I had already like, I guess, like figured out how to drum. like before then,
I-
you know,
yeah.
there is one video of me playing drum set, and it's my first video I ever made playing drum set ever. Well, my dad, I should say, made it, and it's me playing really, really, really bad
It's so
drums.
good.
It's so
funny.
It's so bad. Like the whole time it was like different time signatures. Every bar was a different time signature.
I for like a joke, I transcribed it.
Yeah.
Like what you played, and I had to use different, accelerandos. There were parts in 7, there were parts in 5.
See,
and
dude?
clearly you intended all that, right?
Yes, I already knew how to play in 7 and 5 before my first rehearsal. Duh. So I think like my very first like thing I learned was just like, which is in the video as well. It's just like right, left, right, kick, right, left, right, kick.
Just like on the snare,
on
sort
the
of
snare and kick.
working on limb independent stuff.
Yes, which is really funny because like from what I learned there, and you can on my face, it's just like I'm so bored. Can
I get to what I made up last week?
Yeah, and then it's like, well, what he found out last week, and then it's just me going ham.
Yeah,
like
no regard for tempo or dynamics,
like time, just nothing.
It's amazing.
It's probably the best drumming video ever. But like, rock is kind of like the biggest one that you get into. It's the one that's like the most accessible, I think, as well, because there's so many different things. And, you can really play like a rock beat to a lot of stuff, not just rock. And
it sort of shows like the diversity of genres that you can play with drum set. And if you find out, hey, I can play like 15 songs with this one groove, then you sort of like get to open up to other genres, which I think is awesome about drums, and we can talk about that later.
So like alongside with like the rock thing, my brother was also like super big into rap. So I was also like rap drumming too when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And my very first song I learned, it's a baller song, which dude, I'm literally forgetting the name of right now. I know
who's it by?
It's by a lot of people. It's Drake.
Okay.
It's Forever by Drake.
Okay.
Last name ever.
Yeah.
First name greatest. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So it's got like Lil Wayne, Eminem, Drake.
All of them.
It's got a lot of good ones in there, and like so that was like my first song that
you learned.
Like we like sat down and wrote out a drum beat to, and that I like learned, which is so funny. Like what a weird song, and I still love playing that song to this day.
Of course,
it's such a hype song, dude. Like it's so sweet. But like that was kind of like my first like couple things that I started playing. Like what were you like playing in the beginning?
I mean, I had mentioned wanting to join like the jazz band in high school.
Yeah.
But middle school, yeah. But I as well started with the AC/DC and Led Zeppelin and the sort of classic rock stuff that a lot of beginners start with.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. Like, great. Still have a part of me that loves listening to, that stuff. And my dad and mom were huge fans of music.
Yeah. Rock people.
From that, huge rock people. Huge, like, the Eagles and a lot of stuff from the 70s, like,
for sure.
But so I played a lot of rock. My dad liked the Police a lot.
Nice.
So I tried to learn Message in a Bottle, which I was way over my head. Like Stuart Copeland is incredibly insane, and this was maybe my first 2 months of drumming. I was like, I want to play this song, and it was crazy. I never actually learned it. I would just play along to it and think that I'm doing good,
Yeah.
But like you, I started taking lessons because that's what. I mean, you should take lessons if you're trying to start an instrument.
Highly recommended.
Yes. but I went to this. I didn't take them at Guitar Center. I took them at another local place, where my sister was also taking flute lessons. So we went in and she took flute lessons and I took drum lessons.
Wasn't that like the local like shop or whatever, like music shop we had in Glenview?
No, it was Terra Sounds on Waukegan.
Really? Terra Sounds was around then?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that.
And I started out, my first drum teacher, Dane Crozier, who's an awesome like percussionist and drumset drummer. But yeah, great guy, awesome. And he sort of got me into which I can talk about a little later, but he got me into more of drummers like Harvey Mason and like Zigaboo.
Okay.
We listened to a lot of like the Meters, and he just sort of exposed me to that, like, rock is awesome and stuff, but have you listened to some of this? And then we were able to get into like more jazzy stuff through there, and like he just opened my eyes to a lot of different new genres. But yeah, started taking lessons there, and just sort of progressed on until high school.
Yeah, so like going off of like, like our bare bones, like our first like drum set stuff, like what does your drum set look like now? Like, did you add anything? Is it like a new drum set? Is it the same drum set? Like, what new gear do you got? And like, who's like your main cymbal company and, like heads and stuff like that? Just go off. Like, what do you got?
Well, so I guess my main sort of setup. I have 2 drum sets. Well, I guess I have 3 if you count the pieces of my original drum set.
You're fancy.
I have one that was the one that I got at the estate sale, the Pearl export, and then I have another Pearl drum set, which is a Midtown, which like fits into 3 bags, and it's like a tiny sort of thing. Yeah. And that's the one that I usually take to my jazz gigs if there's not a house kit.
Yeah.
And I love both of them. It's if I could play one of them, I would play like my main, kit that I don't really take gigging.
Yeah.
But I just got like, snare. I took one of the toms off, so now I got just a 4-piece snare, rack tom, floor tom, bass.
Okay.
4 cymbals. I got Zildjian K's, Ride 18-inch crash, 20 or 16-inch crash. I don't know the sizes.
You don't know the sizes,
14-inch hats. I'm not a big, like gearhead type person. I do. One thing I do like is I have a lot of like small things.
Yeah. Like
I have a little ching ring, and then I just got actually a week or so ago I got what are they called? The wood sort of rattles.
Yeah, they're like wood bells. They kind of look like bells.
Yeah, but they don't have like a thing in them. But I got that, and just like I have tambourines and shakers and cowbells, and I like to add little things to my drum set.
Yeah.
That like, and I know we have, sort of different philosophies and opinions on about the size of your setup, but
just a bit.
I tend to prefer sort of a more minimalistic type of setup. Sometimes I break down my kit to just bass, hi-hat, snare if I'm feeling like I want to, I don't know, be extra minimal, but that's pretty much my setup. Sometimes I put like another snare on the side, higher pitch or lower pitch, whatever. I also have 2 like big fat snare drum things that I can put on. So I have a lot of little things that I can bring in to subtly change the sound of my drum set. But yeah, and I feel like that works well. with the genres that I mostly play.
So you said you got like 4 cymbals, including your hi-hats?
Yeah.
So you have 14-inch hi-hats, right?
Yeah.
And then probably like a 14,
16, 18, 20, I
16,
think.
18, 20.
Yeah.
Bet. All Zildjian, sick.
But yeah,
those jazz cymbals.
them be the jazz cymbals. They're not too jazzy. I haven't gone full jazz cymbal.
Yeah.
Like there's some really nice,
well, those are like
Zildjian, like super dark or the Meinl.
The Istanbuls too.
Yeah.
Those are a good jazz cymbal.
But yeah, we can get into this more
sure.
if we want later, but what about you?
I gotta give me like 30 seconds to like look and remember.
Study.
Yeah, so I got like
his drum set is right next to us, by the way.
It's right here. It takes up like most of my basement. It's like a whole corner.
Yeah.
Like a 5 foot by 5 foot corner. Maybe even more. I'd say even more. I'd probably
definitely more.
Like 7.
Both of us could lay
5.
down back there.
Yeah. But yeah, so I got 2 crashes, 3 splashes, 2 crashes, a hi-hat, a china, and a stack. And I preferably play I guess I should tell them my drum set first. So yeah, like as the years went on, I actually got a free drum set like you did. It was like sitting in one of our family members' basements. That like
free stuff is always great.
I love free stuff. I don't care, and I'll tell you right now, and for anyone who's listening, if you have any drum gear you're giving away, I will take it. I will take it. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's the worst drum thing ever.
Well, it doesn't matter because it was free.
Doesn't matter. Like, I'll take it. Like, if you have drum things, I will take it. Like, if I don't use it, I will strip it down for parts or I will sell it for something else. But yeah, so I have an 8-inch. Oh, sorry. Pearl. Yeah. So I'm currently playing on a Pearl form, which is not like the most expensive drum set you can get, but like I said, it was free. It was way better than my other drum set. And that I got a while ago. So I've been playing on this drum set for probably like, let's say like 4 or 5 years, which is pretty good. Maybe a little more than that. But yeah, so did that. And then I love myself some cymbals. So I had like 90,000 cymbal stands, and it was getting to the point where I had no more room to put them.
Yeah.
Because there were so many like legs and everything going all over the place. So I was like, screw it.
So you got the rack.
So I got a rack system now. And they all got their own place, and it's all fantastic.
Crazy.
But yeah, so with cymbals, I started with Meinl HCS. I love me some Meinl. I have the dark custom classics, or whatever you'd like to call them. They're like black and gold. The Instagram drummers.
Yeah, metal, if you see any metal drummer on Instagram, those are the cymbals they're using. 99%.
For sure. For sure. But yeah, so I have an 8-inch splash. I have a 10-inch splash. I have I believe that is either a 12 or a 10-inch trash splash. And then I have a 12-inch stack. And then I have a 16-inch crash, a 16-inch ozone crash, or whatever you'd like to call it.
With
trash
the holes
crash.
in it.
Yeah, the ones with the holes in it. And then I have a 18-inch crash, which that I just changed. All these cymbals were brand new. I had pretty much everything in my Meinl, but I had like a mini China instead of the trash splash, and then smaller crashes. And I love the bigger ones now. Like, it's so much fun. But yeah, 18-inch crash, and then I have an 18-inch China, and then a 20-inch ride. So that's like all of my cymbals. As far as drums go, that's about the same. Yeah. I have an 6-inch. I have like the rototoms, which if you don't know what those are, they're kind of like mini timbales, but they're really not. They're tunable by like twisting them, which is really
rotating
cool.
Them.
Rototoms. But yeah, I have a 6, an 8, and a 10, and those I keep tuned like pretty high. Those are pretty yoinked. And then I have a 10-inch mini timbale, which I've kind of converted more into like a tom. It just doesn't have that back or that bottom, that resonant head. Yeah. And then I believe 10, 12, 16, and I think this is a 22.
Yeah.
Either a 22 or 24, and then 14-inch snare, and then 10-inch snare. So yeah, like I got a lot. I got a lot of drums. I got a lot of cymbals.
You could probably make my drum set like twice.
Yeah.
With the elements from your drum set.
Yeah. So how I have it kind of set up is kind of have like two drum sets. I have like my main kit that's in front of me, and then on the side with like the mini timbales and the little snare, and the stack is kind of like its own like little drum set, which I think is so funny, and I just kind of realized that. But yeah, so that's like my main drum set. I don't travel anywhere. I don't do gigs with this at all. If I were to do a gig, I have two other drum sets. If you want to consider the electric one, which I guess you would. I have an electric drum set. It's like an Alesis DM7X, I think. That thing, I love playing on it. It's so fun. Just all like the sounds and stuff.
Yeah,
and it's just a lot of fun.
And it's, you know, you can do things on an electric drum set that you could not like.
No. Unless you have like triggers, but that's a whole other story that we're not even going to touch today. But yeah, so I have that electric kit, and then I bought just recently the Pearl Compact Traveler, which is dope. It's like
fits in a like briefcase size
like cymbal bag.
Thing. It's a cymbal bag. It's
pretty much a cymbal bag, and then it's got bass and snare. And then I'm just using my old 13-inch hatch.
But
13-inch hats.
That kit is crazy because the kick drum, it's like the punchiest thing I've ever heard. Like,
it hits your soul.
It's crazy.
Outside, like when you're outside, it hits your soul.
And it's just essentially like a muffled drum head.
It's one drum head, and it's just got a little bit of a muffle ring in it from like a marching bass
But it's just like, it hits so hard. I mean, there's not really any tone, obviously.
No,
but
that doesn't need to be, though.
Yeah. But, you know.
But yeah, like, so you know, my theory is the more stuff you have, the more creative and more textures you can get. And I'm a big person on like, I'll play like 2 or 3 cymbals at the same time for sure. Like, and I've done that, like take my cross stick and just like, bah, and it's, it's sick. Or like swiping too, because I have them so close that you can swipe down, especially on the left side, the crash to splash.
Yeah, you
can swipe down and then hit the hi-hat too. It's like whoosh, it's sick. But yeah, so like that's kind of like my big behemoth. And I have a special person that I blame for that, which we'll get into him later.
Yeah. Luckily, I maybe not luckily, I haven't been infected with the drum acquisition syndrome, I believe he calls it.
That's good. I've never heard that, but I'm sure that sounds like something you would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like with your drum set, and you've kind of talked about this too, like what are your like main styles of drumming that you like incorporate like today, like when you play?
Yeah, well,
like first, do you want to talk about like the styles of drums? Like
yeah, well,
a lot.
There's a lot. Essentially, any genre of music you can think of, save for, you know, like classical music, there is a percussion element, and most likely it can be covered by a drum set. There's, you know, drum set in rock music, in pop music, in country music, in jazz, in funk, in, you know, soul, in R&B, in Latin, in like it covers so many different like spheres of the musical world.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, and I feel that drum set is one of the better instruments to be able to sort of learn about different styles of music, because it's just so like universal in its application to music in general. But yeah, for me, I started by with like rock music and everything.
Yep.
And then once I got into high school and started like really taking, jazz bands seriously and stuff. I played a lot of jazz. And then I should actually probably talk about this. I was in a band. The first and only band I've ever been in. Because now I do more, I'm not really in a band. I do more sort of like sideman type gigs.
Freelance drummer.
Yeah. But I was in a band.
Yeah.
And
that's crazy. I forget that sometimes.
So me and a few buddies, friends of the show, we would like, sort of a guitarist and a bassist. We would like stay after school, jam, whatever.
Yeah.
And we sort of grew like to have the same musical interests. And at the end of one school year, we were all like, well, we should do like maybe a show of some music that we like to listen to and like to play.
Yeah.
Because, jazz and everything and concert band and whatever is fun, but we wanted to sort of have like a fun gig just for us.
Yeah.
And which we played a lot of sort of funk and Motown and soul. And yeah, so we got together. Our bassist found a singer who's really great.
Yeah.
She was interested in all that kind of stuff and has an awesome voice for it. And then our buddy who plays saxophone, and then we started playing at a local venue that isn't
no
there
longer
anymore. It was such an awesome vibe there.
It was, and that was kind of like your guys' spot too. Like you guys played there a lot.
That summer was just like full. But yeah, our band was called Entropy.
Woo!
Like us on Facebook. We're not gigging anymore, but maybe we'll resurrect it.
Reunion tour.
Yeah. But yeah, that sort of experience got me into a lot of, and especially building off of like what my first drum teacher had introduced me to.
Yeah.
Getting into a lot of sort of soul and funk and R&B music and drumming, and that's sort of been my main drive, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I'm still a jazz drummer. I consider myself a jazz drummer.
Yep.
But I also consider myself like more than that.
Yeah.
I don't really like putting a label on.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm this kind of drummer. I'm,
Yeah, we were
that kind of drummer.
We were really thankful to have so many different kinds of styles and arts of drumming and music within our music community in our area, that we've been exposed to a lot of other types. And it's not just like, who's the new like Little Peep or whatever rapper who's coming out, like let's play drums to that. Like, no, we played drums to like a ton of different stuff and so many different styles. It was crazy. It's like every other week it was like different style week.
Yeah.
Even daily it was switched up.
Oh daily. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of my main shtick, sort of jazz, funk, R&B, soul, old music.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you jam into?
So yeah, for a while there, I was actually, I was still more on like the rock side of drumming. I did a lot of like for a lot of the bands and stuff for Jamnesty and things like that. We played a lot of rock tunes. I was always kind of there for like rock stuff. I think it's because I hit really hard. So like I think that's kind of why I did all that stuff, and you were more towards jazz because you could play a little softer than I could. But like I always did like the crazy like hype up drumming stuff. That was kind of my thing. I am heavily influenced with Latin percussion. I don't know if it's because I am
maybe
like I don't know why, but it's like I always had like a niche for it, and like it was always so easy to me, like playing timbales, and like you can second this, like that was my thing in high school. That's all I did, like, and like I rocked out, and like it was always fun. Like anytime there's a timbale part, I was like, I'll play it, like for sure. But like these days, dude, heavy into gospel. Like not like churchy stuff, like after church jam gospel. Like I'll rock out and like
coffee hour
Yeah.
jam gospel.
Like the band keeps playing after everyone leaves
Yeah.
kind of thing. I'm really heavy into that. Gospel's a big thing. I really do love me some funk. But yeah, I'd have to say more like gospel and Latin, and then I also do really enjoy like pop drumming too.
Yeah.
So like some of the newer songs that I listen to, I like to sit down at the kit and try to figure out something, you know, because a lot of them are like the 808 beats and you know, things like that. But I try to figure out.
It's sort of like a cool exercise to try and like imitate, you know, programmed drums and 808s and stuff like that, you know, on acoustic drums.
Yeah, that's exactly what I try to do. I try to, you know, imitate that, you know, okay, these guys can press these buttons with their fingers, but can I play what they're playing with, you know, with my whole body?
Or like crazy, you know, trap hi-hat stutters and everything.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me as well. As I played a lot of trap music too. But yeah, I don't know. I just I'm more of like a hype go fast drummer. Like I love all of like the crazy, you know, like literally like I was saying before, like I'll like for one, you know, instead of like you know, playing like a one crash, I'll play like all of them, like da 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 don't
go big or go home.
Yeah, like that's kind of what I'm up to. But yeah, so that's kind of what I involve myself in immerse myself in with. But I think it's an H break.
Is it an H break?
Our awesome sponsors.
We'd like to thank our sponsor.
They've been with us since the beginning. Listen to this.
This is crazy.
Thank you, H.
Thank you, H.
And yeah, for those who don't know, H has been a really big, really big influence on our life.
Yep.
It's been a really.
You could almost say it's essential.
Yeah.
For our lives.
Like before they even decided to sponsor us, like this is a product that I use every day.
Every day.
Even like I said, like even before we were like sponsored.
I would consider it a part of me.
Yeah. Seriously, it really almost is. It's like it's everywhere for me. I don't know. It's really weird. But
almost like it's flowing through my body. Like 70% of my body
is H.
Yeah,
it's got some H in there. But yeah, we want to say thank you, H. And
I can't believe us.
Oh, dude, it's our thing.
Yeah.
Like it's the H, man. But you know, from going into like styles and types of musics that we really do like to play, who are like your more like bigger influences as far as like just bands? Like forget influences, like who's the bands that you're like in the car driving, throw them on, like, or like want to jam, like who's your band, man? Go for it.
Wow. I mean, I have a lot. It's really hard for me to narrow down stuff like this. But I'd have to say probably
like top 4. Give me like top 4.
Top 4, okay. I'm a really big fan of the Meters, which is a funk group.
Okay.
Zigaboo that I mentioned before, he's the drummer for them. Who like awesome, great, funky, the most funky.
You would say they have the most funk.
The most funk. But yeah, the Meters, they're great. I'm a big fan, not necessarily a band. Well, I guess they are a band. Headhunters, which was a group and I guess an album by Herbie Hancock.
Okay.
Which is like it's sort of a funk jazz fusion-y sort of album with like Chameleon and Watermelon Man and all those, with the legend Harvey Mason.
See, you're way better with
on drums,
people's names.
Yeah,
I'm so bad.
yeah. but also just an extremely funky guy.
For sure.
And actually, something that I want to bring up about that is, I took a jazz history class, last year, fall semester, and my professor one class. We had like listening assignments and stuff where he would like have us listen to a certain piece of music, and then we would like dissect the different sort of qualities of it. And we had like gone the whole semester listening to a bunch of different jazz, and like we had just come off of, avant-garde stuff with like John Coltrane and Ornette Coleman and like free jazz and all that kind of like crazy complicated stuff. And then we sort of transitioned into like the world of jazz fusion, and one of the tracks that he used to like get us into that was Chameleon off of that Headhunters album. And I remember it was like so vastly, I mean, I had already heard the song before, obviously, but what my professor said about it has stuck with me. So like the song is, or the tune, I guess, depending if it
it's got lyrics.
If it doesn't have lyrics, it's not a song. I slip up sometimes though and call them songs.
They're all songs.
But it's like, I'm sure everyone has heard it, and if not, go listen to it because it's an awesome funky tune.
I'm playing that right now in jazz band.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's great. And we get like through halfway through it, and like it's completely different than what we had just come off of listening to.
Yeah.
And my professor just like, he's like, "That's it." And I'm like, "That's it?" But I realized, he wasn't trying to be like, "What? Come on, that's it? That's all you got?" It's like, no, that's all you need.
Yeah.
Like it's just straight groove, like awesomeness, and Harvey Mason's like killing it, and is like, and I don't know, that has just always stuck with me, is like, that's it, like it is
that it is,
that's it. But yeah, other than that, not necessarily a band, but the world's most recorded drummer, I believe. Bernard Purdie, originator of the Purdie Shuffle itself. Amazing guy. Just like such an awesome inspiration for a lot of drummers, including myself. So precise, but so like fluid at the same time. I can't even describe, how awesome he is. And he's the most recorded drummer of all time. He's played with like Aretha Franklin and Steely Dan and James Brown, and like, if you go to his Wikipedia page and just look at the like as a sideman like section, it's so many. It's a lot. But yeah, Bernard Purdie, the legend. And then I guess modern people I've talked about him before on the podcast. Nate Smith is like, he is the drummer that I wish I was. He's the drummer that I want to become. I feel like he like brings together like all of the same influences that I have, including like a bunch of jazz drummers that I haven't mentioned, like the greats, Max Roach, Elvin Jones, like both Joe Joneses, but I feel like he's like the culmination of a lot of those different influences, and he's just awesome. He can be funky, he can be fusiony, he can be jazzy, he can be but he can be musical, and like it's awesome. I've seen him live a few times, and it's great. He's again the drummer that I wish I was.
Nice.
But yeah, what about you? Some of your bands that make you wanna drum.
The most obvious for me is gonna be Chan. I
Yes.
found them like when I was probably like a sophomore in high school with our mutual friend, and I don't know, man, like watching him do the thing, like
Nathan Camarena, dude.
yeah, like he
Out of this world.
yeah, he's a different breed. And then to go along with that, he's the newer drummer for this band, but Politia too.
Oh yeah.
Clay is really killing it. I really dig him, and
They're like kind of what we talked about before. I feel like their more recent stuff has taken a lot of influence from like trap and hip hop.
yeah,
And sort of fusing it with their like prog rock sound.
Yeah,
And it's awesome.
yeah, it's like that mix of like rap and rock, and it's really cool, and that's kind of what I like too. I like that mix.
It's very hype music.
Pierce the Veil.
Pierce the Veil.
Yeah,
Is it a metal band?
yeah, it is. And Bulls in the Bronx is my favorite song from them.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's pretty good. It's so funny because I play weird like music, like gospel and stuff, but I don't really listen to it, a lot of it. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I take like I guess I take like rock and hip hop and all that stuff, and I throw it into like my gospel and like my funk and stuff like that. But I'm just trying to look at like the bands I have on my my playlist here, and a lot of them are metal bands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that I'm
I mean, you have the double bass pedal.
Yes, I did forget that. Yeah, I started like playing heavy metal because that's like what my teacher was like more into. He was did a lot of the bass. And the Polarization, that's another band that I really do love. They're pretty sick. They got that one song, Alive, that I play with the gen stick.
Yeah,
that's a good one. So like those are probably like my 4 bands. I guess like I'm more like pop, like not pop, like prog rock, and a little bit more like math rock / like genty music.
Yeah.
Like if it's got a good like
sort of groovy,
if it's got like
genty,
a groove groove guitar and like some groovy drums, I'm like I'll headbang to that like for sure.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of funny too. Like I really just like realized that's what like I play. I listen to a lot of different stuff and I actually play.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like for like inspirations for drumming now, so like you were saying, your one guy is like really big. What was his name?
Nate Smith.
Yeah, Nate Smith is somebody who you've been looking up to for a while. Funny that I'm gonna say this and you're gonna say the too, and you're like, oh okay, I understand. Like I honestly, ever since like AP Anderson .Paak came to the stage, like I've really been trying to learn his style, and it's so weird, dude. It's way different from what I play.
Yeah,
he's very light. He plays with a lot of light touches, and it's very, very musical. Yeah, but at the same time, he can lay down a fat groove if he needs to, which is so weird. And that's why like I'm trying to like learn that. And like if you see,
balance. He's an awesome drummer.
Yeah,
like crazy. He like there's. If you've seen his tiny desk, right?
Oh, of course. I literally was just trying to play it.
Yeah. Before that, I didn't know that he was a drummer. I just thought that he's like a sort of rapper singer that
Yeah, so his first like big gig with somebody was I want to say her name was Haley Reinhart.
Oh yeah.
She won American Idol in like 20.
I think she's from around here, actually.
Yes, she's from Wheeling, Illinois. And so she like got really big or whatever, and one of like Anderson .Paak's buddies like knew him. So apparently Anderson .Paak, his wife, and his son were homeless for like a good year.
He has a very interesting like life
story. Homeless for like a year. He was working at like a marijuana farm. He got laid off or whatever, and then his buddy was like, hey, like, I know you're a drummer. This girl I know needs a drummer. And I think from then, like, people were like, dang, that guy's good. And like I just watched a video of him playing with her. It's so funny because she is so like jazzy and she's very mellow,
very sort of,
and he is like not playing like that at all. He is like,
of course not, dude.
He's going nuts.
He's gonna groove,
dude. He is going nuts in the back, and he's just killing it. And it's so funny. Like when we're done, like we'll watch it. It's so good though. But yeah, if you just search up like Haley Reinhart and Anderson Paak, I'm sure you'll find the video. It's him like in the background, like I said, just like and he's killing it, and she's like singing real light. It's so funny. But yeah, like AP, he's like a big inspiration for me these days. Who's like another one of yours?
I guess someone that I've recently beginning into, my drum teacher at Loyola, John Deidemeyer.
Okay.
Awesome drum, Chicago jazz drum guy, who is actually, don't quote me on this. I heard this from someone else who wasn't him.
Okay.
But you know the band Snarky Puppy?
Yeah.
So he, and this could just be a rumor, I'm not sure if this is true, but he, based on what I was told, was the original drummer for that band.
Get out of town.
Because he went to University of North Texas, where like most of those guys, like Michael League and all of them met. And so he was like the drummer that they chose to like start up this group with, and he was maybe in the band for like a few months and then got replaced with Sput, who's like the
oh my god,
the sort of one of the main drummers for Snarky Puppy.
Dude, can you imagine?
He was going in like a different musical direction anyways.
Yeah. But still though.
He's much more of a sort of small group type drummer.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that might not be true. I'll have to ask him.
Do it.
Maybe
for
he
sure.
can come on the show and
sick.
Tell some stories about that.
That'd be sick.
But yeah, that's like anyways, he has gotten me into this artist named Aaron Parks, I believe his name is, whose drummer is I believe his name is Timothy Crane.
Okay.
Who's a great, sort of drummer, and he sort of shares a lot of aspects with the other people that I've mentioned. He's very sort of groove based, but in like a modern jazz setting.
Okay.
Which is really awesome. A lot of the drumming on Aaron Parks, I believe it's called Little Big album, and then he just released Little Big 2, and it's like modern jazz, but it grooves.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. And Timothy Crane is like laying down some, like, he has a very light touch, but it's like you can feel it. You can feel the pocket, and it's just it's awesome. But yeah.
Yeah. Another like one of my bigger inspirations going back to like the whole Latin stuff. This is going to be the clear answer, and I'm sure I don't even need to say his name, and you could probably say his name right now. Mm-hmm. Say it if you know it.
Tito.
Yep, my boy Tito Puente. Yeah, he's dude. Like if you've ever watched a video of him play, it's ridiculous. It's
crazy.
Also the most fun I've ever seen anybody play.
Oh yeah,
he's always like,
he's having a blast.
He's always smiling. And he's like, yeah, look, he's always killing it. He always has like freaking 6 timbales around him. Mm-hmm. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
He's like, there's the size variant, and he's got like tons of cymbals and stuff.
Yeah,
like that. I love that too. Like just like the timbale with like, a couple cymbals and just like little aux stuff, cowbells, things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, he really kills it. I mean, clearly, he kills it. I don't even need to talk about him. You know, I enjoy watching him play. That's like that. I wish I don't show very much emotion when I play, and I wish I could that, because like that to me is like only makes the drumming better. Yeah. Like he can play easy things, but if he's having fun and he's like,
that's what it's all about.
He's visually like making it hard. Like then it's more fun, and like you said, like that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Like all of the drumming
is supposed to be fun.
Yeah,
we all love it.
yeah, it's that thing that like, we never get tired of, and especially like him, like he's just so crazy. Like,
Yeah.
if anybody who's listening, like, give him a look up, like go on YouTube and just look up like Tito Puente. Like, I promise you'll have a fun time watching the video at your house. Like, it's
I would also be remiss if I didn't mention probably my favorite musician of all time in general, Stevie Wonder, actually plays drums on a lot of his recordings.
Yeah.
Which is like crazy. Like the drums in Superstition, I'm pretty sure that's Stevie, which is like, it's unbelievable how this man can be like so grooving on every instrument that he plays.
yeah.
It's like crazy and awesome. And so little shout out to Stevie Wonder. I know he's not a drummer by trade,
Right.
but like
But
he can lay it down.
I would consider him somewhat of percussion.
Oh, yeah.
'cause, but yeah, man. Like, so I guess like that's kind of it for today.
Yeah.
We have an extremely
Yes,
big,
we have an announcement.
an extremely big
Red
announcement.
alert.
If you have made it this far
Yeah.
into all of our podcasts and into this one, you will want to stick around for the next one. I promise you that.
Yes.
We are going to have a big guest.
Our first guest.
And also the biggest guest I know, drum set wise.
With the biggest hair.
The biggest hair. He's got the biggest drum set. He's the reason I have this contraption over here.
Drum acquisition syndrome.
He is the founder of drum acquisition.
Simba from the Lion King himself.
The Lion Brian.
The Lion Brian.
We are going to have Brian Huey on our show. He is the drummer for 2 bands. He plays in Nostradamus, and I think it's like
And the Horseman.
And the Horseman,
Yeah.
yep. And then his band, Player Blue, which, dude, like, these guys kill it. Like, especially him and his drumming. And he sings while he drums, too.
Very hard. I can't even begin to imagine how to do that.
I can't talk while I'm playing drums. Like, you have tried to talk to me before, and I'm like, I have
like
to
if I'm
wait
trying
for a
to
break.
like give someone like, I don't know, during a gig or something, I try to say something, it just either my words mess up completely or my drumming messes up completely.
9 times out of 10 for me, it's my drumming.
Yeah.
I'm just like, and
I have to focus on one, which is just like even more amazing that
right.
singing and drumming at
That's
the
crazy.
same time. But
so we're gonna have our very first guests on the show. For the people who are watching, our set is gonna change a little bit.
yes,
We
can't all smush on this couch, you know.
as nice as that would be.
Yeah.
We want to do a little bit of social distancing.
Yeah.
But it's really big for us. This is our 4th. Next week will be our 5th podcast.
I guess it's a good time to start.
Yeah, number
with
5.
The guest, number 5.
Yep. I want to try to do one, have a guest come in like every 5. I think that would be something that is doable. But I just want to, like, this is like going to be our first guest.
Yeah.
So like whoever's listening now, please tune in to number 5. Like, we're going to have an awesome time. It's going to be so fun. Like, we're just going to talk about drums the whole time.
And it's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome. But yeah, so just wait. Like, it's going to be a solid episode.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I mean, this has been the Drum Break Podcast. I hope all of you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and peace out.
Peace out.